Oh, that's only 3 parts. There's only 2 more stories left in this season.
Huh.
I guess that's the same length as last season, though.
Yeah.
That's so weird. Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around was Time and the Rani. What was that one about?
Well, the Rani, who we saw before, another renegade Time Lord, but she is a scientist, and apparently she kidnapped the TARDIS, which accidentally forced the Doctor to regenerate. And while he was still in his amnesiac state, she was trying to get him to help build a time manipulator, because unlike the Master, who's just an evil idiot, she, as a scientist, was literally going to go back and change evolution, if I recall correctly, so that all of the mistakes that took place in the billions of years of evolution would all be corrected. And I don't know. It seemed kind of weird.
Yeah, it's essentially she wanted to guide the course of the universe on her own.
Yeah, not to rule over it specifically, but just to make everything better.
Yeah. It was a bit much for a plan for her, considering the last plan was just she needed to help her people get some shut-eye. So, a bit of a leap, but at the same time, it was still interesting and somewhat in character. So, and we had the introduction of the very hasty introduction of the 7th Doctor, but still a good one.
Yeah.
McCoy plays it very well.
We were, I was saying that he strikes me as kind of a cross between William Hartnell and Tom Baker. So he's got some of the crankiness that Hartnell had, but some of the playfulness and the confidence that Baker had.
Yeah, so...
And I'll be honest with you, I read some stuff that said that we should get used to the Mel screaming, because that's apparently all she does until she exits.
Yes. I'm hoping that's just, like, an unfortunate side effect, because, like, in her first story, again, she was still very good, she was very active, and, a go-getter trying to solve the mystery of the Vervoids and everything, so I hope that at least continues, and if it does, I'll just accept that the price for that is she has to scream every episode. So
I think we made the comment that takes us all the way back to Susan, whose sole purpose seemed to be damsel in distress, and we are so far beyond that now. We've had so many great female companions since then that going back to somebody like Mel, if she just continues to be nothing but damsel in distress, that will be very unfortunate, very painfully unfortunate.
Yeah, and especially too because, like, we just had that with Perry.
Yeah.
And Perry is like, if you ever want an example of what not to do with your companion, which none of it is her fault, like none of it is on the actor, because they just didn't, they didn't know how to write the Doctor, B, they didn't know how to write her, C, they seem to just not like Perry at all.
Yeah.
I saw someone on a YouTube video, someone had a theory that that it might have been that they brought in some new writers who were really excited to write for the 5th Doctor. 5th Doctor's gone now, and instead you have the 6th Doctor that nobody wants to write for, and so the theory, the tinfoil hat theory, is that they did everything they could to make Perry miserable, because they hated Perry because she's the reason the 5th Doctor had to regenerate, because he saved her. Tinfoil hat conspiracy, no. But even still, I don't know. There's clearly something wrong with, obviously there was something wrong with how they wrote the 6th Doctor, but on top of that, Perry definitely seemed to suffer as well. Yeah. So hopefully it's better with Mel, even if, at the end of every episode, like, well, we gotta do a cliffhanger. We know she's really good at screaming, so have her do a scream, but otherwise, as long as there is more things to her, then I'll have to take it.
Now, your tinfoil hat theory thing, didn't Davison say, though, that he only wanted to do 3 seasons, that he had talked to some of the previous doctors and said, I really should only do 3, and only later regretted that he didn't do 1 or 2 more seasons.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
So it was sort of in the cards always, but even still, I don't know. It could be that theory. It could just not be. It could just be that nobody knew how to write the 6th Doctor, therefore nobody knew how to write Perry in a good way. So I don't. But even then, I still say that Mel's first episode was a very good first episode for her. So I don't know. Anywho, we're on to Paradise Towers today, which is a fascinating name.
I expect John Cleese, but that's Faulty Towers.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know. Do we got anything else going into it?
No. Show opened last night, so we're taking a sigh of relief. Had a good house. Very good reactive audience. This week in Oklahoma on Thursday night, last week, it was in the low 80s Fahrenheit. And this morning, it was in the mid-30s Fahrenheit. So, just this is spring in Oklahoma.
Despite the fact, that spring has officially started just last Wednesday. That'll tell you when we're recording this. But it's just sort of all over the place. It's like it's pretty much you have to start the morning with the heater on, and by 1-2 o'clock you got to turn the AC on. So. It's just kind of how it goes for about 3 months, and then you just have to leave the AC on through till about November, I would say. So, anywho, let's go ahead and jump right into Paradise Towers.
Look, Doctor, look, there's the swimming pool, right at the very top of the building. Oh, it's wonderful. I can't wait to have a dip in that. Paradise Towers, here we come.
What's the problem with young people today? No spirit of adventure.
I'm gonna be honest, this just looks like a public school.
Not one that you've ever been in.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Ready. I can't wait.
I don't think this is the landing bay.
I like the fact that his hat's on top of the control.
Well, instead of on the hat rack that he has.
You don't happen to know another planet with a swimming pool, do you?
Why don't I have to jettison the pool from the TARDIS?
It was leaking.
I was gonna say.
Caretaker number 345/12 subsection 3 reporting. Hi.
Chief Caretaker speaking. We are receiving you, Caretaker number 345/12.
Oh my gosh, just call him Craig.
You want to...
It's a good catch.
You we like, Doctor. What you wear is high fashion and ice hot for an old one.
Oh, thank you very much. The clothes don't make it the man, you know.
No, but Kangs all have colours. Blue, yellow, red. What is Mel's colour?
Oh, I don't have a colour. And I don't want to be a Kang.
We don't want you to be a Kang.
I don't
Not
want to be a
red
pie.
Kang.
It's very rare that someone likes the Doctor. It's a little chunky.
It's a garbage machine.
Yeah.
No, it can't be. The chief told us.
Oh no, now there are 2 of them.
Excuse me.
What?
Did you say a whole tribe of yellow Kangs have been wiped out? I mean, made unalive, just like that? But why? You didn't kill them, did you?
To make unalive is not part of the Kang way. No ball
that's
games,
nice.
no fly posts, no wipeouts.
She's nearly here, dear. Oh, my goodness. Tabby, look at that table. Quick. Oh, look at your poor hands. We can't allow that, can we, Joe? Of course not. Sit down, dear. Let Tabby untie you. I'll put the kettle on. Sit down, dear. Oh, you
Like a
must
bad
have
Monty
been having
Python
a
sketch.
horrid
Eh.
time. You poor
I get the feeling they're going to try to eat her.
The
Yes.
Kangs, the red Kangs.
There's a pile of bones and a woman's dress on the table.
Oh no.
Oh, I only saw the dress. I guess that does sort of.
They're nasty.
What's that? I don't hear anything. Look, Sunbeam, if there was something wrong, there'd be instructions in here about how to deal with it, wouldn't there? Hmm?
A war to fight or something, or such a long time ago. I often wonder whether we won that war or not. I don't suppose we'll ever know now, Tabby. No, I don't suppose we will, Tilda.
Do you know anything about a swimming pool?
These episodes are just getting weirder as time progresses.
Are these old ladies annoying you?
No!
Are you annoying these old ladies?
No, she isn't.
Oh.
And I do wish you would stop breaking through our door to try and save us. That's the third time we've had it repaired, and it's not as though we've ever been in any trouble. Apart from bits of door flying about all over the place.
Who exactly are you?
The name is Pex. I put the world of Paradise Towers to rights. You need me to protect you.
I most certainly do not.
But that's my job. I am Pex. I put the world of Paradise Towers to rights.
Yes, I know all that, but I still don't need you.
Well, if you don't need a protector,
He's like a
then you might need a
war-ready
guide.
Ken
Somebody
doll.
who knows their way about.
It could be.
Is he just Hitler?
This is looking more and more like Spaceballs.
Eh.
Be kind of interesting if they had the girls who played the Red Kangs to also play all the Blue Kangs.
That would be funny.
This is the great architect return to Paradise Towers. Pretty welcome. All hail the great architect. All hail.
All hail the great architect! What should we do with him now, then, Chief? Kill him.
All right.
Okay, so the writer of this episode was smoking the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's some good stuff, at least.
Well, that's the thing. It's so out there. Again, like I said, it's so Monty Python, and of course, if you've ever watched Monty Python, there's a lot of really creepy undercurrent in some of their stuff. So that's what makes it work. They're playing the comedy of it, but they're at the end. It's like, oh hail, oh hail, oh hail, kill him.
It's working better than Revelation of the Daleks did.
Yeah.
Because that was... The problem with Revelation of the Daleks probably was the Daleks. It's like, you just can't put those two things together. But this is an entirely new thing with all of this weirdness. So...
All right, so we have the caretakers.
Yes.
We have the different groups of Kangs.
Yeah.
We have Pex, who doesn't seem to belong to anyone, and the Kangs didn't know what a boy was. And then you have the killing garbage machines.
Yes. And the old ladies.
And the old lady. Oh, yes, the two old ladies who may or may not be cannibals.
Right. Yes, it's a lot, and it's weird, and I don't know how they thought of this, but I mean, I'm down for it. It probably also works best with Sylvester McCoy. Like I don't know, like we talk about him being kind of Tom Baker-esque, but I don't know, with a story like this where it's so ridiculous and crazy, it's like you kind of need as best a straight man doctor as you can to just sort of look around. Because Tom Baker, it would not have worked with Tom Baker because he's always the weird one, Like, if anything, this may have been best suited for, Peter Davison because he's, the most normal of all of them. But McCoy's playing that very well as well, so...
By the way, I saw the trailer for Disney's new show, Doctor Who, this morning.
Yeah.
Also saw the trailer for Beetlejuice.
Yeah. I watched that. I did not watch the Doctor Who trailer. I kind of given up on trailers for Doctor Who.
Now, in this shot, because of the lighting, it almost looks like his hair is blonde, which it is not. And in fact, that gives him more hair than he appears to have.
Well,
An unfortunate accident has happened to caretaker number 345. I'm required by the rule book to go and investigate. The 327 Appendix 3 subsection 9 death will be postponed till I return. In the meantime, you will guard the great architect here with your lives. Understand?
Yes, Chief. No problem.
George Orwell meets Monty Python.
meh. That's just every guy at the gym.
It says here, about the 327 Appendix 3 subsection 9 death, that after you've been guarding the condemned prisoner for 35 minutes, you must all stand up. If I close their eyes, put their hands above their head.
Well, at least it's not caves.
Oh, yeah.
Careless chat about the robotic, self-activating Megapodic Mark 7Z cleaners having got out of control is not going to help anyone, and may needlessly upset other kid. Many explanations.
Members of the village people as his henchmen.
In the main.
I mean, people just don't vanish, do they? No, of course not. There's always something left behind.
Like with this clearly a chicken. Whatever that is. Oh, it's got smoke now.
Wait there. I'll check if it's safe.
Parody of toxic masculinity.
Meh.
It's safe.
Hello? Sorry, wrong number. Just one other thing. You probably haven't realised, but this machine has another purpose.
It's a.
Oh, incidentally, yet another
It's just a vending machine.
Bit stale, don't you think?
Meh.
Did you enjoy your night's caretaker? Hungry you can't be. Daddy's always made sure you get a good supply of what you need. Daddy's the chief caretaker, that's his main job.
Feed
while
me,
we're on the
Krellborn,
subject,
feed me
Daddy's
now.
too pleased with you. You still haven't discovered where the great architect has got to.
Have you, Jake Gyllenhaal?
And you have no...
You feeling better now, dear?
Yes, thank you. There's nothing quite like tea and crumpets, is there?
Is that just burning on a table?
Oh, that's good to hear.
Looks like it.
Hilda.
It's very good.
Mean every word.
In our experience, Mel dear, it is much better not to struggle too much. It only causes needless distress.
Well, at least they waited until the second episode for her to scream.
Yeah. I can't remember her name, but the companion, Leela. There, it took me a second. It's been that long that it's finally exiting my mind. But it's always a moment like this where I'm like, man, I miss Leela. So
Just gets weirder and weirder.
yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
So
It kind of reminds me of, what was it, the Sunmakers?
yeah,
Where they were somewhat ordered in that society, but there was all the weirdness and kind of humor going on there.
yeah, like he had to. There was like the death taxes and everything
Yeah.
that they had to deal with. Yeah, it's just a strange. I wonder what that soda tastes like. Do you think it's more on the Coke side or the Pepsi side, or
Actually,
God forbid the RC side?
No, it's for those of you who don't know, RC is Royal Crown Cola. It is especially prevalent here in the southern part of the United States, and it is weird. Fizz Aid strikes me as being more of a juice-based drink, lemon lime, even grapefruit juice or something like that.
Probably, yeah.
Because it's in a yellow can, and that tends to be somewhat of the citrus beverages.
That's true. And to all RC fans out there, who am I kidding? You don't exist, so.
You have only been to Alabama once. I lived in Alabama for 4 years when I was very young. Those people down there literally worship Royal Crown Cola.
Okay, and we're just going to go into a tangent about soda real quick. Are they as incessant as Dr. Pepper fans?
Yes, but in a different way.
Because Dr. Pepper fans, I'm going to call you guys out now, because, oh my gosh, chill. Like, every time, like, it hasn't happened since I was, like, in high school, but whenever there'd be a debate between Coke and Pepsi, A, nobody really cared, B, people just had their preferences, and C, there was always the one person who swore on Dr. Pepper like it was the Bible itself. And it's just kind of weird. And I like a Dr. Pepper, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it's just weird, so. Anywho, we are very not brand loyal. He has a Coke right now, Coke Zero, and I have a Pepsi Zero. We're not entirely brand loyal, although I do slightly prefer Pepsi. So I'm the one at the restaurant when they say, "Is Pepsi okay?" I say, "Yes, it is," and I say that completely and truly. So, anywho, that doesn't matter.
By the way, they were introduced. Alex and his brother were introduced to Royal Crown Cola when we were out in far west Oklahoma. Was it Weatherford? Elk City?
Something like that.
Elk City. There was a restaurant out there, not a chain, and we went to it, and literally the boys had never heard of it.
And because what you normally do, like you do in a civilized society, is you ask for a Coke. And if they don't have a Coke, what you expect to hear is Pepsi okay? What I was asked was, is RC okay? And I thought, how dare you speak to me like this? We are from a first world country. I don't think I got it because I just didn't. I had never heard of an RC cola. So I think I ended up getting whatever Sprite or Sprite adjacent drink they had. So,
but yeah, in Alabama in the late 50s and early 60s, a real treat for youngsters was to get an RC and a moon pie. And if you don't know what a moon pie is, Google it.
So that's soda discussion for today.
Disturbing.
Doesn't really have anything to do with this episode, but
except we were discussing Fizz Aid.
Yeah. So, other than that, Pex, I guess he really is kind of like a Ken doll. He's as pathetic as Ken is in the Barbie movie, but that was an interesting twist that he's a deserter specifically.
Yeah. Now, there is one other thing that was only barely hinted at. When the chief went down to speak to his pet, he did say something that there was somebody else had to be giving orders. So this is somebody else we haven't met yet.
Yeah.
So that to me is the only logical explanation that ties all this together, which we will see either in this episode, this upcoming third episode, or they'll have to resolve it in the fourth.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose it's still open that the actual great architect could be running around.
Yeah.
So.
And either must look like the great the doctor must look like the great architect, or vice versa, whatever, or the Chief was simply saying this is a good way to get rid of this visitor, is to accuse him of being the Great Architect. Because obviously the Chief thinks that if the Great Architect is still alive, he doesn't want the Great Architect giving instructions to the cleaners because he wants to control them himself.
Yeah. Well, and he doesn't, like, if he actually, like, fixes up Paradise Towers, then it ruins his whole thing with his pet machine thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's a strange mystery. So.
You feeling better now, dear?
Yes, thank you.
Toasting a
Quite
bun?
like progress, is there?
I guess.
So much more relaxed.
Larger than a marshmallow.
You see, we would like you to stay for a very long time.
At least until supper.
We don't imagine you ever leaving at all.
You are joking, aren't
Except
you?
through the waste system.
No, I can't see anything.
Oh. Well, more for me.
I hate little Clever.
Oh. You never have strong doors.
You arrived just in time.
Well, that sort of resolved itself.
Well, does this mean that I've really helped save someone from something? For the first time?
I think it might.
Congratulations.
So you're coming with me, come what may.
Is that a mushroom tattoo on his neck?
I don't know.
Welcome, one and all, to Paradise Towers, which will be your new home for a good few years to come. Some of you will understandably feel nervous at leaving everything you know for a strange new environment. But we believe once you've tasted the Paradise Towers experience, you won't want to change it for any other.
Technically, this is the plot of WALL-E.
Our motto is
I'm sure there are some rules to govern this, Deputy Chief. It's the most intelligent thing he said so far.
And now, if you'll excuse me, I think I will depart to begin my investigation. In the basement, perhaps.
He does vaguely resemble John Cleese.
Well, I suppose it is.
Mayhaps, my dear Red Kangs, mayhaps your parents thought they were being very clever by trapping him in his own building so he wouldn't finish it. But if they did such a thing, it was very foolish. Because no matter how deep they buried him in Paradise Towers, he was bound to get out in the end.
So, is he the machine?
Come on, Pex! Well done, Pex!
When in doubt, kick it.
Up. I'll go and look with you, Doctor. And me! And me!
Fire escape bin liner and air duct, you come with me, the rest stay here.
301, 302, 303, 300. I made it! I just don't believe it.
Oh, it's actually lovely.
I really don't. We're cleaners.
Back to the lift.
Fatal turnpike.
I mean, they've got me.
Sure.
They've got me. It's just, I don't know. I don't know how you conceive of this. You know the thing too. Is it just me, or do I just really want to take the Kangs as companions now? They remind me so much of Leela.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be nice to have some fighters. You know, bin liner, fire escape, air duct. Even though she didn't come on this one, and whatever the blue Kang's name is.
Now, once again, the director in me, the theater side of me, says, there's another casting call. We need 20 to 30 girls who all look vaguely alike. Some will be wearing blue wigs and blue outfits. Some will be wearing red wigs and red outfits. And you're all going to be gang members in a futuristic building where robots not only try to clean the walls of graffiti, but end up killing all the people.
Yes. So, Croagnon lives.
Now, you know me. That's so much like Cro-Magnon that it just makes you wonder, is that where whatever the author's name was came up with it? But the Doctor does have well, at least he knows the history of Croagnon. Built Miracle City, but wouldn't let anybody live in it. Got away, built this new place, and now it has done exactly what he had worried that would happen to Miracle City, in that the people who came in ruined it for him.
You know, I don't fully blame him. Because if I made something incredible and beautiful and I gave it to people, I'd be worried too. Not so much I'd become a giant robot that eats people, but you know. But now he seems, from the sound of it, he wants to possess someone's body. I guess it's better than being a robot, so there's at least that. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure where this is going.
Yeah.
And I do love that the pool is the one place that looks like good. It's the only good place in this whole thing. Just have to mind the robot shark snail double eye stalk thing, but
crab.
Yeah. So
lobster.
Yeah, but otherwise it does seem lovely. So
well, it's heaven. I mean, it's where the undead or the unalive go.
Yeah, that's true. And the basement is hell, where you are eternally tormented and eaten by a robot man thing. So I'm sure someone in the comments will tell us the deep philosophical implications of this episode, and I would be fascinated to see what that is, but at the same time, it's also just weird.
Yeah,
I like it, but it's weird.
During this time period, I mean, there is a parallel here, both in London and in places like New York City, where back in the 60s and 70s, when, let's take New York, for example, was expanding, growing, but there were gangs, there were, homeless people, and the subway walls began to get graffiti all over them. And, you come in with a guy like Rudy Giuliani, who back in the 90s, federal prosecutor, runs for mayor of New York, gets tough on crime, does all this stuff trying to clean up. And they seem to be taking that one step further, in that a guy like Giuliani, who says, we as a people are going to clean this up, he basically morphs into the great architect who says, I will clean this up now, and I will do it beyond the scope of the law.
Yeah, so I could definitely see, again, it's one of those where it's like, I almost struggle to see any forms of commentary they're trying to do, because again, it's just weird and goofy, but still, it's like I see it and I'm definitely enjoying the episode.
Yeah.
So
and the chief again is, I said he reminds me a lot of John Cleese. He also reminds me a lot of Eric Idle and Michael Palin. So I mean, he's three of the Monty Pythons all rolled into one.
Well, yeah. So
it's alive. So he took over the chief's body?
I guess.
And return in this borrowed body to the corridors and lifts of his own creation.
Did it grow out his mustache?
They buried me away because I wanted to stop them using the towers. And now you and I will destroy them.
A riot is an ugly thing, and I think it's about time we had one.
What is really lovely. You really ought to come and join me, pet. It would do you the world of good. There's nothing to be frightened of.
Oh, getting her hair wet. Oh, I bet she doesn't like that. curly hair underwater.
What shall I do?
The gun! Jeez.
Well, I did warn you.
Shoot him! Shoot him!
Pegs,
What?
I'm sorry.
Boy, her hair dried fast.
What's that?
Where?
Oh, there's a rustling sound coming from over there.
I only checked it a few minutes ago.
Shall I go?
If you want.
Give me the gun.
And you're sure Pearl Admiral will be
Now,
let loose again?
on the back
Very
wall,
much so.
there's
But we know
a
some
plaque of a
Kangs
man and a
plans.
woman.
How are we going to unite the people of Paradise Towers to defeat him?
We'll find a way. We have to. He's a cowardly cutlet. He's a cowardly cutlet.
I think it's supposed to be cowardly custard. This is more malaprops. What?
That is we.
Oh,
We, the Resis, the remaining Resis.
The non-cannibals, hopefully.
But those of us who are left want to let bygones be bygones. We're all in danger now.
We're actually vegetarians.
But the caretakers...
Excuse me.
There are too many people in this
I'm sorry
episode.
to intrude like this.
We can blow the cleaners, no problem. Send the cleaners to the cleaners.
Yes! Most of the Resis make table balls. We could throw them over the cleaves to slow them down for you to shoot.
Ice hot nanny.
We seem to be getting somewhere at last.
Revolution.
But I think you've missed some rubbish in the street back there.
Ooh, ooh. Good shot.
makes you wonder how many of these things they built.
Well,
because it's possible these scenes were filmed before they blew up the other two.
well, yeah. Oh.
Hail the unalive who gave his life for the towers. In life he was not a Kang, but in death he was brave and bold as a Kang should be.
He's a real hero.
No, Doctor.
Oh, you never can tell.
Alrighty.
Well, a fitting resolution.
Well,
you kind of see that building up. You know, you got the guy who's the coward, but realizes the only way to save everybody is to, I mean, that's the Iron Man solution. Pushes the bad guy through the door and they both blow up. I mean, it's very standard, but it works.
yeah. I do like how there's not really any sophistication to the plan itself. It's just chuck him in a room with some dynamite and just that'll just be that. So, but it's made more noble and elegant because Peck sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
So, at the very least, I guess even though there is a body count in this episode, it doesn't seem as dark and gruesome as the previous 2, almost 3 eras of Doctor Who. So that is kind of nice. Yeah. Even though a man just exploded, but still. And I guess a robot has been eating people this entire time, and
the 2 old women,
old ladies have been eating people. Maybe I'll take that back. I don't know.
Well, the implication is they, obviously, you know, very full-bodied women, that they have been getting better rations or better food somehow because all of the Kangs, all the young women, tend to be very thin and not emaciated, but certainly not living as well as the Rezzies. So, I mean, whether they're actual cannibals or not, that seemed to be what they were implying there. But the definite implication is they consider themselves above all the others.
I don't think all the Rezzies were cannibals. I think it was just the two of them. Yeah. Because they specifically hid it from their friend, too. So, it's just those two, they just happen to be cannibals, so... But yeah. A very, very interesting episode. Of just sort of a roller coaster of something.
Yeah.
So, it does kind of make you question as to what did these people do now?
Well, they start cleaning up the walls and rebuilding what... I mean, they know, they've got the plan of what it should have been, and theoretically, that's what they're going to do. Now, of course, the obvious problem that we don't go into here is all of the Kangs are females. All of the caretakers are males, somewhat slightly older. So we must assume that that's how they're going to repopulate Paradise Towers. But that's just left to, weirdos like you and me. I doubt that the average 12-year-old who was watching this would have thought anything about that.
Well, I suppose there is also the idea that the soldiers would come back at some point. It shouldn't have been that long. So, because they were all specifically left there, and Pex escaped, and he couldn't have been that young if he was considered to be a soldier. But then you have the question of, well, why weren't any of the caretakers brought... Unless they're not from whatever planet this is, and... I don't know. I guess you can sort of go into the weeds on that one, but...
Well, they're like the home guards, They're men who obviously had some kind of military or law enforcement training, who were basically said, you have to stay behind in the Paradise Towers while everybody else goes off to war.
Yeah, so... yeah, I don't know. See, all of my notes are just all the different various many characters, but I don't know, it's... I feel like there was like one other maybe point I was going to say, but I can't even remember that now. So,
right, and again, like you said, the difference to me is, as I mentioned, I think this is more like Sunmakers than the one with Revelation. Was it Revelation of the Daleks, where they're on the funeral planet?
Yeah.
In that most of the violence did not occur on screen.
Yeah.
Whereas in Revelation of the Daleks, it was just massive body count everywhere.
Yeah.
The Sunmakers had that element of satire to it, which this one also had, I think. Instead of just the weirdness of the funeral planet and what was going on there. So, I mean, to me, it's a difference in tone.
Yeah.
All three episodes are very similar, but it's the difference in one is, I'm not going to say tongue planted firmly in cheek, but it's just not as gory. It's not as in your face as Revelation of the Daleks.
I think one thing that helps, and this is also like the Sunmakers, is that the Doctor is very actively involved in this story.
Yeah.
Where, with Revelation of the Dalek, I can't remember anything that the Sixth Doctor did in that story. And part of that is, most of the first part of that, because there's only 2 parts with that one, most of that first part is the Doctor and Perry trying to get into this place. Whereas here, the Doctor and Mel are instantaneously involved in the story, and the same was in the Sunmakers, which was the Fourth Doctor and Leela. So yeah, it's I can kind of see the similarities there. And honestly, it is one of those times where it's we could have taken a Kang with us as a companion. Mel, again, there are good moments. I mean, she screamed once or twice.
Yeah.
Both times when she was being attacked as well, so, we give her a little credit there. But, even with that, she then took the gun and shot that pool crab thing. So, I like they don't even explain, because it's so different from the rest of the cleaners. It just is some robotic thing that
It's a pool cleaner.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I just had this weird thought. Do you remember when you and your brother were very young, and we had the little sandbox in the shape of a crab out on our back porch?
Yeah. So
reminded me a little bit of that.
Yeah. But she did at least take the gun and shoot that thing. And Pex, at the very least, he had... I like, because as soon as Mel gets, captured by the... just not even a net, just a bit of, just crochet, a bit of... Yeah, which seems like you could get out of that. It doesn't seem like it'd be the sturdiest material. But I like, because they had already set it up of well, yes, every so often, Pex will just burst through this door just to see what's happening. So it's conveniently, he'll do that again when Mel actually needs him there. So, and then, luckily the cleaners just grab them and suck them through the waste disposal unit. So, I know there's on the one YouTube channel I follow, there's someone who says one of his greatest fears is an enclosed slide, and he's kind of a hefty gentleman, and what he's afraid of is going down the slide and getting stuck, because it just narrows basically, and then it starts raining and filling up. So it kind of reminds me of that, just being sucked into the garbage disposal.
When we were on our way to Niagara Falls, remember we spent a night in Canada, in London, Ontario, and beautiful hotel that we stayed in, and had that big lighthouse that had the spiral slide in it. Well, I went down that slide and I felt that same thing, because I thought the slide would last maybe 5 to 10 seconds, but when I started down it and it started turning and I started slowing down, I was like, oh, this is awful. This is, because I got really claustrophobic in there, and it took 30-40 seconds for me to finally get out the bottom, and that was very weird. I did not care for that at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was a little kid when we did that. I'm pretty sure I wasn't allowed to go down that slide because I was too young.
If I recall, you and your brother were at the top waiting for me to go down, and I think I yelled back up, don't send Alex down, so he probably brought you back down.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. It was something like that. I also couldn't swim. I still can't swim, so it probably wouldn't have worked either way. So, but now I'm more of just there is something appealing about, the pool here, minus the killer robot crab, but... which sounds like a movie from the 50s, honestly.
Attack of the Killer Robot Crabs.
So honestly, just get into a pool and just kind of be. I don't really need to swim. Well, it's another thing, because, especially now that I'm older, it's I don't really need to swim in a pool. I'm tall enough I can just go stand at the end of the pool anyway. It's very rare to find a pool where it's oh, I can't just stand at the deep end, because they don't really make pools that deep. Yeah. So,
well, not hotel pools, but
regular
generally
swimming
pools they do.
Yeah. So, so anyway, but yeah, there's something appealing about that pool, apart from the killer robot crab thing. So,
and I'd still love to know who the plaques of the man and the woman were, because that looked like something you would put on a British coin, and I don't know if that was meant to be Elizabeth's father and mother, or maybe that was her uncle and his wife, Duke and Duchess of Windsor. If I've got that right, don't quote me on that. But yeah, there were 2 plaques on the wall, silver plaques on the wall behind Mel and Pex, that were never explained. Nobody never said, this was Cro-Agnon and his wife or whatever. So I'd be interested to know who those were.
I mean, honestly, it just begs the question of where was this pool that they filmed at? Because that's not something you just build. That was obviously just a regular pool.
Yeah.
But obviously the rest of the sets were sets that they build. It's what they're best at is making these corridors. So, but then they go to that pool. I will say there were a couple times where I was like, oh, I can definitely hear the echo. Because that's one thing about any room, indoor pool. There is always an echo in there. And I thought, ooh, that is so terrible to catch on those microphones. And then when there were like 40 people there, I was like, oh, that's really terrible to catch on those microphones. So that must have driven them crazy trying to deal with. So, I did like the again sort of the joke of the guards or the guards that were constantly adhering to the rule book. I thought that was really funny. Just the constant use of that. I like none of them have names. They all just have specific long arduous codes as their names. And then I like the Doctor being able to, he looks at it just for 5 seconds and just completely makes something up. And they think, well, if it's in the rule book, So that was really funny. I don't know. I don't know what else there could really be. It's interesting that the chief thought that Croagnon was his pet. Because assuming he's been there, let's say 5 years, I guess. 5 years they've been at this place. I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, none of them really act the way you would after only 5 years of being there, or maybe even just a couple years of being there. Everyone here sounds like they have been here for multiple generations, especially the Kangs. Is this what they acted like at home? No idea. Why do they have no idea what boys are? It's I assume they just lived in a normal society beforehand. So it's
but I suspect they were all brought to the towers as very young children, toddlers even, and this is simply the way they've grown up because they had no supervision.
Yeah, but then that begs the question of Pex, of how old was he when he deserted? Basically, I don't know. Maybe he's young. Maybe he looks younger than he actually is. So, but the chief thought it was his pet, but it was actually.
And again, I bring up that parallel with Little Shop of Horrors, when Audrey 2, from the movie, not the original movie, which I think was just called Audrey Jr., but when the plant starts telling Seymour, if you go along with what I do, I can give you your wildest dreams, Seymour literally takes a part in killing the dentist, chopping him up, feeding him to the plant, and all that sort of, because he thinks that's the only way that he will get Audrey and get, money and fame and all the rest of that.
Yeah, so, and then just Croagnon, it's just sort of an interesting thing of he's this brilliant architect, but he doesn't want people to touch his stuff, so he went insane. So much to the point that the parents of the Kangs destroyed his body and left him as a brain in a machine. And eventually he figured out how to transfer his brain from the machine into a new body so that he could take over, clean up Paradise Towers, and it would be all his again. This is a lot of weird things to put into this story.
But I would assume that the author, again, I would imagine there are a lot of architects like that, because I know that there are, set designers in theater who build a set and go, oh, this is perfect. Why do you have to put the actors on it? It's you love what you have created, and you don't want other people messing it up.
Yeah, I do see that sometimes with even YouTubers where it's kind of hard for some YouTubers. I don't have this problem because I don't have a separate video editor. It's all just me. But, some people, some YouTubers, they'll do all their stuff and then they'll start to pass it on to an editor. and then when they get back the edit, they'll give 10,000 notes because they want to do things a little differently, because it's hard to have someone else sort of replicate your style. I would imagine it'd probably be the same for someone who writes a play or writes something. It's like, like, I wrote this, it's perfect, now why did you have to go and do it the way you did it?
Well, I mean, as a director, that's your mom and I discuss this all the time. It is very hard for me to watch shows that I have not directed or that she has not directed, because I look at it and go, they did a good job with that, but it isn't the way I would do it. I would have done this, and this differently. So, and I'm sure other people look at my stuff when I direct and say, oh yeah, well, he did it that way. You can always tell what he does, but I would have done it differently. So, I mean, I understand that it's the artist in people that basically forces them to do that.
Yeah. Adding that into Killer Robots is a choice, but at least you do kind of understand it. So, and then just the resolution of Pex, the true hero, the Ken doll that did something. So
he was Kenough.
He was Kenough. That's a good place to end it as anything. So,
all right, what's up next?
Next up is Delta and the Bannermen.
Sounds like a bad 80s rock group.
These titles are getting, like, they're so different. Like, titles used to be like, the desert planet or something, something basic. It's like they're starting to get more creative, I feel like. Now, granted, like Paradise Towers, I thought that was, kind of creative, and then they just go to a place called Paradise Towers anyway, but I don't know, something about Delta and the Bannermen, like, I don't know, we don't really have something like that.
Yeah.
So, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.